So, if everybody is ready, Vaida can start.
Okay, so working. Hello once more to everybody. And today, like I said in my short intro, try to share the experience of the long way from moving to classical project management to agile. Is those some hidden problems which we came out and how we have solved them. I have some questions. Who is still using some, I could say, traditional project management? Oh, there is quite little of you. And the rest of you is using Agile. No. So what the rest of you are using? Trying to use. Okay. So I think I try to help you a little bit in that way. Shortly about me, I work at company Hnit-Baltic. Our best known product is Maps.lt, because I see the name, so lots of people said, what company? So I have to set the product that everybody has some knowledge about it. So we work a lot with GIS systems. So work like product manager, business analyst, and in Scrum, I'm as a Scrum Master. Also, I have a course prepared and teaching at Vilnius University according to ITIL service management. And I am certified Scrum Master and actively participating in Agile community. So organizing user groups and so on. So I have called this problems like unwritten rules. Everybody knows those Scrum rules, like we have to make product backlog, we have to make sprint backlog, we have burn down chart, the main roles we have Scrum Master, product owner, the team, we have to work everybody together. And when we start working according to those rules, there are some complicated situations which are not written anywhere. The speaker before me, I had a course yesterday, certified product owner. He was my lecturer. Said one good thesis that Scrum is just a framework. If you need something additional, please put it on your own. It's just how to say simple framework which gives you some simple guides and you can modify it according to your needs. So this is really the truth. And one more, my colleague, I don't know if he's sitting in this room, but he sent a couple of days ago me one link where is 30 questions. He said, I don't know if you see, so I read that there is some blog that 30 questions proving that Scrum is harder than it looks. This article is about that Scrum is some easy rules, but before you start, you have to answer some of 30 questions. I put the link here, where I have taken this blog from, and the questions is some, at this situation for me, with more than a year of practice, some looks very simple, but at the beginning not. So kind of then this like, how long will the sprints be? Yes, you know, according to the rules, it can be from 1 week till 4 weeks. The most common is 2 weeks long sprints. But which is the best way to choose? Which one to choose? So you have to try and you see, according to your practice, which was the best. And other stuff like, will the team be sitting together? Actually, in our practice, we have quite a big challenge with it. When we were searching at our office, the room where all the team could sit together. Some colleagues are sitting that they can prove that this was took a month or two when we could find the place to sit together, but it really works. So going further, who has seen this picture before? There was sent in the internet and somewhere was going, or one people said. So, and why I have put it here? because one of my colleagues sent it to me a few months ago and asked, could you explain me? Here are those who couldn't see normally, so on your left, here are the classical traditional project management stages, and here is written in the top the newly adopted Scrum first sprint. And he said, why here everything goes smoothly? You see, project manager, team, he gives the jobs to the people, not to the team. To each people give their tasks. Then they come one by one, give the functionality or whatever they did, and the project management shows, put this here, put that here, and at the end, she has the whole picture. Everything's fit. Here you can see, he says, I want the picture with the horse, and team goes, and they do it by their own. So where the problem occurs, that people didn't used to work in the team, didn't used to share the task. They got the task and they think about their own functionality which they have to do. So if I have to paint the head of the horse, so I don't care who is painting the legs. I have painted the head and everything's okay. Okay, here is the head. The other one has painted the legs and he brings the legs to the people. And he doesn't hear of the head and other stuff. And you see that, I can see that there is now a product owner. The picture didn't fit into one. But please note that this is first sprint. So the people moving from traditional way, when somebody has told to them what to do and they didn't care what the others do and other stuff, and here they are left alone, and please be self-organized and make a picture. I can say in reality that this is real situation. When we did the first sprint in our pilot project, it was the same. Everybody did their functionality, closed the task, and if you check, yes, his functionality works and his functionality works, but they are not integrated. So the task is like done, but the whole picture doesn't work. And how we solve this problem? The second sprint, we put the additional tasks and called like, please paint the head, please paint the legs, and the additional task, please integrate them with the other pieces. So the people to get used to that community work, to that teamwork, at the beginning we're putting into the sprint backlog additional tasks. At the end, we didn't need that anymore because they get used and didn't care only about myself, but they started to care about that whole picture of the horse. It's some kind of the problem. So let's go further. The other problem occurred when you think only about your small tasks, and when you start to think about the whole picture, you start to think for the whole project, and you feel responsibility for the whole project. And it's very hard to do because from our experience, we work for the public sector mostly, and the projects are really big. You know, the duration of them is a year or 2 years. And when you start thinking at the beginning, what will I do in the year and a half, when doing this task, how I integrate that functionality, it's almost at the end of my product backlog, and you have got headache. It really is, because if I ask you, here is the cake, please eat at the moment the whole cake. You won't say that it's tasty, and I don't know if anybody in this room would do it. If I give you the small piece of the cake, of course you would be happy and say thank you, it was very delicious and so on. So the same with the project, that you have only to think about that part which you are implementing now, and don't care what would be in the year and a half. when you're implementing some functionality, don't think how it would be integrated. You know the thing that in Agile, everything changes, and you have to be open to those small changes. So with this mind, it is easier to work. The next thing, what was, I can say, some problems or something from moving from traditional to the Agile way is time planning. I don't know, maybe everybody or lots of you know the problem when you plan something and the duration is twice or even more bigger. For example, you go to the developer, like in that first picture, and you ask, how long will it take for you to do some functionality, to implement database or something? And he says, okay, it would be about 1 week. You come in a week and ask, will you did it? Oh, no, I think there are 2 days and I finish. After 2 days, he says, oh, it's not still finished, but if you give me 1 more day, I'll finish it. So this is, I don't know if everybody, but from the experience, that lots of goes to this problem. So you have to take enough time at the beginning for the sprint planning. When we came with our team to the first sprint planning, one of the team members said, you know, you have taken for that meeting half of the day. What are we going to do there? And it was in the morning, and when it came lunchtime, I said, okay, it's lunchtime, we can go out. He said, but we didn't finish yet. He said, so why were you asking that, why it took lots of time? So for sprint planning, it's normal that you use the whole day. Because you have to do it very carefully, you have to divide all the user stories into really small tasks. The task is like, it's some various opinions about the task evaluation. Somebody said that you don't have to evaluate them in hours. The other said that you have, but it is really easy when you evaluate them in real hours. So if you evaluate them in hours, so the task has to be taken from 1 hour till maximum 2 days. But it would be better if it won't be longer than 1 day. And with the practice, this comes when you learn to divide tasks into really small pieces. It comes at 2 hours, 4 hours, 6 hours, and it's already a big task when we write 10 hours. So why I have said that we have enough time at the planning for the sprint, when you start dividing the task and you know the meeting is going out, so first the user stories are divided very accurately into very small tasks, and you see we have half an hour left. Okay, so we do this task, this task, this task, this task, and it would be 3-4 hours just to say from here, take time. Don't really think and other stuff. In our practice, at this time planning, we were already discussing the architecture, how it will be implemented really, and how the UI will look, how the database structure would be. And when you start work, those 2 weeks are just, you have to write what you have planned. You didn't have to think and anything, you have just sit and write. For example, we planned some user interface. I developed a little bit of the user interface, and you just putting button, colors, okay, it's done. It is very easy. And other thing, that evaluate tasks realistically. Why I said that? Because I often hear that that dialogue that of managers, when they say, I come to the developer and I ask how long it would take for you. He said 3 days. Then I come back, double it or triple it, and I know the real long of the how the task will, the duration of the task. So I don't know, maybe there is some of the people are afraid or something to see the bigger of numbers when they evaluate the task. How we did, we count the all capacity of the team. Means, for example, if we have 5 people in the team, they will work 2 weeks. It means 10 days. They will work 6 hours a day. Yes, it's 6 hours or 5 hours. Don't write 8 hours. Nobody works 8 hours a day. That really works. Because there are meetings, there are other stuff, people needs breaks and other things. So if 6 hours a day, 10 days, it's 5 people, 300 hours. It's our team capacity. So from that 300 hours, we made 10% for the buffer at the end. So 30 hours we didn't fulfill with the task. And when we evaluate each task, if there is some doubts how long it would take, so 2 or 3 hours, we said, okay, just in case, put 4 hours. And you know, everything works. Then at the end of the sprint, you do all the stuff. It really, really works. What more you have to include into consideration? So the time counting and the task planning. It's often also there are questions that, okay, if I break down user story into tasks, I can put the task like this. Develop a database model, develop a business layer, develop UI. But you know, there are other things like documentation, where I have to put testing. So all the work you have to do to finish fully functionality, put as a task. We did public projects, and those who, by the way, are there a lot of people who work in the public sector with the public projects? Not very much. But maybe you know some legends that there are lots of documentation in those projects. So we put that documentation as a task, and it could look like this. After the DB, business layer UI, comes the task. Please fulfill system requirements document according to the functionality we implemented in this user story. Fulfill architecture document according to the functionality we have implemented in the user story. And all the other stuff, what you need to do. If you have to arrange something or other things, so please rearrange things which are connected with this functionality. So put as the task. Other thing, where to put testing. We put testing also as a task. We just put, please test this user story. It takes 2 hours. And bug fixing for this user story, 10 or 15% of all the amount of the user story. If we put all the tasks, we put this task at the very end of the breaking down user story. So if all user story is 30 hours, so for the bug fixing, it's the task of 3 or 4 hours at the end. And you have time for everything, and you can do what you need. Not like additional works or other stuff, but you put everything in one place. Nobody says that you can't do this when you are doing Scrum. Okay, so go next. This is real burn down. It doesn't look like very nice when you see in the shown picture that there is ideal line and the burn down is going something near that line. You can see that at the beginning it's like more than burn up, and then it's, I don't know, 1/3 or the middle of the sprint it is going down. So what I can say that don't be afraid if you have missed some tasks in the sprint planning. You can add it to your sprint backlog at any time when you at the sprint. For example, developer is implementing some functionality and he sees that he has missed some, the team has missed some integrations. So it's not a big problem, just put it. You know, everybody are people and we miss something. The main thing is the result that we could burn down it at the end. So why we need that extra buffer in the team capacity, extra buffer to all those tasks, because always there appear some tasks which we haven't planned at the beginning. And don't afraid, because I talked to some persons and he said, we have planned the sprint very carefully. We start implementing it, and we have not burned down, but burned up. And at the middle of it, we have thrown away and started to work as usual way. Because, yes, it's really a real story. So don't be afraid of that. Everything you can solve. This slide, I have put it here. 1 minute. I have my presentation last week at Tech Days, and somebody asked me a question, what to do if we are doing a couple projects at one time. My answer was that you have to do only one project at a time, but in the reality, you know that this doesn't work. So any people who are doing just only one project at a time? Okay, so you are really lucky and happy. But this reality with the most of you comes in. So there are two solutions. You can do, I can say, the biggest number of a project, it can be free, but it's already very hard. The two you can do, I can say, normally, at one time, simultaneously. So there can be two options for this. You can implement project one sprint by sprint. So first sprint to project A, second sprint would be first sprint for the project B, and go like step by step by one project. But in some cases, I don't know which is the fault of the companies, of the managers, they want that everything will go simultaneously. Maybe it's easier psychologically when some a little bit done. So in our practice, we divided week into two parts, because it was pilot project according Scrum. So 3 days of the week, we worked to our one project, all the team. The other 2 days, the team members worked to their other projects. And our sprint, of course, you say that it can be 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, or 4. We made it 3 days a week, but duration 3 weeks. So if counting days, it would be almost 2 weeks long sprint. And it works. Of course, it would be better if we do something sprint by sprint, but you know, those reality. So this really worked. But those 3 days, nobody could disturb you. It's like, say, this is dedicated for your project, and if you want something, wait for if some project for those first 2 days want something, so please wait for another week. Because in other way, it won't work. So, next thing, what we came the questions at the first retrospective was that team responsibility. You know, they're saying that if it is responsible everybody, so in reality there is nobody responsible for the task. But in Agile and Scrum way, team responsibility means that, like in Dumas' book, Three Musketeers, all for one and one for all. It really is, because if you have a team of 5 members and one gets sick, everybody knows the task, everybody knows what is going in the project and what to do next. It was also from my practice that I was on holidays. I was a Scrum Master and a business analyst in that team, and I was on holidays 1 week and I got sick for 2 weeks. So I have missed all the sprint, and our team was small, only 3 members. You know, third part of team is missed. And one manager came to another team member, it's almost after 2 weeks of working, and said, "How are you doing?" And he very sincerely said that, "Oh, we're not doing very well, Vaida is sick," and so on. The work has slowed down a little bit, and the manager was a little bit shocked. So, you are not doing anything already for 2 weeks? But in reality was that everybody knew their task, and it was not a big problem. But you know, if that part of the team is away, so the velocity of team won't be the same. But nobody was sitting and saying, okay, what to do next? Nobody gives me a task. Okay, so maybe we do another project because I don't know what goes next. So this problem is solved because of the responsibility. Everybody is included into the main goal of the project. Everybody is knowing where are we going. So if somebody is missed, we are still not so, the speed is lower, but we are still going, not stopped. So that how to track all those, all the way we are going. I have showed you a couple of slides before the burn down. What I want to say is that burn down is really a very good thing. I think our team were a little bit addicted to it. Like every day we come to the office and let's look at the burn down, what is our progress. At the lunch, let's look what we have done in the half of the day. And that really, I don't know, it's a very good word for this, motivates people. Because the tasks are very small, it took a few hours, and you can see progress also very quickly. In one day, the bundle goes up or down, and if it goes up, everybody sits in a meeting and says, what was the problem, why this took longer than we planned, why we didn't see some integration tasks, and what to do. So they rearrange the task or something, then, or they implement the simpler functionality or other thing, but you can do it very quickly. Day by day, you see the progress. But one thing, and it's officially written in the Scrum and so on, that burn down is only dedicated for the team members. It's for the team members to see how they are going and how they are doing. It's not for the managers, because when they are not in the team, they can interpret it in wrong way. For example, if that burn down I have showed to you, I showed it to the manager, not at the end, but at the fat part, you see, when it were burn up, not burn down. So what would be the question or the answer? That your method doesn't work. You are not doing anything, or you don't know how to plan it properly. You see that everything is going, the amount of work is growing, so what are you doing, guys? So this is really not for managers. For managers, you can show only that this functionality will be implemented in 2 sprints, the other functionality it would be implemented in 3 sprints approximately. But please don't go into these small details, into these small metrics. It's only for the team. Because somebody will start to track you from up, so you know the numbers can be faken. That manager would be pleased to see the nice burn downs, or the quality would be lower or something like that. What the other thing? It's client and team. I don't know how new, but in traditional projects, there are always project management or project manager, or the business analyst goes to the client, collects requirements, and just deliver it to the developers. Developers sometimes do not see the client till the end. They do not see the goal of the project and so on. What we did, we brought team to the client. At first time, it was really funny when we had some meetings, and we were going to show the first what we done, first shippable part of the project to the client to demonstrate to him, and there was going full car, 5 people. you know, our team and product owner said it would be too much of us, or maybe it would be more than client person, but everybody got used to it. And it's really good because the developers and the rest of the team see the real problem of the client, what they have to solve by implementing the project. And what is good from the client side, that he sees that you really care about his problem. You are not doing that just because you want to get, you can say, money for the project, but you really care to solve the client's problem. And it is easier to discuss some requirements when there are technical people in the meeting. Maybe sometimes the discussion when client wants some requirements, for example, he thought it would be good, but in reality to implement it, it is really hard. When there are technical people, we come to the appropriate decision. What would be still good for the client and won't be too hard work for us. This is all very, how to say, plus. And what else I would like to say, that it's a pity that our client couldn't come and say what he thought about the project. But last week we have our GIS conference, and the client was speaking about this project. And what he said, that we were, I don't say in exact words, but he said, we were very happy that you used new management methods when you brought everything piece by piece, not everything at the end. We liked it very much. So when I heard those words, I was really pleased and really happy, and asked client, could I share this project and this experience in next conference? He says, of course you can. So this is real words. And of course, when you communicate with client, there comes some changes. I have written, please do not be afraid of them. You can see changes are everywhere. There are seasons of the year, so the nature is changing all the time, and nothing is wrong of that. You can see that changes cost money. We can discuss this thing, because it's also from my experience, from other projects. We were working with partners. In this project, we also worked with partners. But client asked for one change. Could you please add additional field to the data filling form? And the partner was discussing like this, that, you know, but in analysis phase, in the document, there is no written need of this field. And the discussion was very long. That is an extra requirements which were not discussed, which were not documented, and if we will implement this, we need extra money, and so on and so on. And if to think frankly, what costs to add one additional field to that database and one additional field to the user form? Couple hours, or even less. But those discussions cost much more, and you know, the client was, I can say, not very happy, because you are not collaborating with the client, but like you are in the separate parts. You are arguing, and the attitude of the client was not very good. So it cost almost nothing, but the time spent on discussion cost more, and you got, how to say, the worst result because of the attitude of the client to you, that you can't do even so small change. And to sum up, so this conclusion I have written from real experience. I can promise to you that all the projects which you will be doing according Scrum methodology would be like this. But it was pilot project, and what was good, that project was on budget and on time. Really, it was like it. And what was good for the team, that they saw quick result, they have more freedom for the decision. Nobody comes to them and said that, please do this functionality, okay, we need this. We don't ask what you think, we just need this. They have more freedom for decision making, and of course it's more fun. You have some like additional tools. Cards for planning, it's fun, but it's then you work more productively. And what's for the client? So he sees the project very early. He gets used to it very early to the functionality. The changes when we start to do very small at the beginning, at the end, there are no big changes, because if you show the project to the client after half a year, so you can see, oh my God, this wasn't what I wanted after the half of year of developing it. Of course, better quality. And I said this is from our experience, that project was really on time. And, okay, I can show what was the project I'm talking about. It's, how to say, everybody of you could use it. It's people warming and informing system using cell broadcast functionality. So you are not the first, but one of the first public who sees that project, and you can modify, configure your phone. There are instructions at the fire and rescue department how to do it, how to configure your phone that you could get messages when there is some accident or other things. For example, last Friday, you know, where from Friday to Saturday the storm. I got message to my phone on Friday evening that be careful, there will be a storm and please take care. According to statistics, 75% of the phones got these messages. Which phones didn't get? It's iPhones. About fifth, I don't know, because they promised to implement this, and Windows phones. Windows Mobile got. All Androids and Symbians and other phones got, so you just have to go and to configure. And what some phones didn't get Lithuanian language, so it's written instructions how to configure in English that you get messages. So I could ask that please, for your safety, go and do this, what I asked. And maybe there are somebody who already got the message to a phone. Oh, there are a few, because some Samsung Android models got without any configuration. So all the summer there were testings, and they were very unhappy because they got messages every day. So thank you for your attention. Any questions?
Yes, we have few minutes for 2-3 questions.
I can't see you properly. Yes. I said our team was really very small, and it's only 3 people. So it can take from the half of the day to 2 days. But it's, I can say, very normal, because like I mentioned, we have planned already architecture, some sketches of the UI and other stuff, because it's very easier to work then.
More questions? Yes.
If you have to deliver 2 functions, for example, to develop every function, you need programming, you need testing, you need writing documentation, you need functional design, and so on and so forth. You need different people with different skills. So when you, for example, take a programmer, take a functional person, and programmer doesn't doesn't have what to do until the functional design is ready, how to solve this problem. And afterwards, when programmer is done, he is waiting and does nothing.
We have solved this problem that if you have to wait for something, you made some mock-ups, some fakes. We were integrating the system with 7 other systems, and we couldn't integrate till the production. So we really made some mock-ups. So you really search for some functionality which you have implement without waiting for the other functionality till delivered. And if you can't really do anything, you made some small mock-up, and just because not to sit without a job at that time.
So thanks for your questions, and thanks, Vaida, for caring about our safety.
Okay, thank you.
And